right track. I want to welcome Teri Danz. She is an artist, a singer-songwriter, she's a vocal coach, and an author and a journalist, and I couldn't be more excited to have her on the show. Welcome, Teri.
Hi, how you doing?
I'm doing great. How about
good.
You?
Really good.
Yeah.
Really good.
She drove over here in a thunderstorm, by the way. Our first one of the year.
Amazing.
So we feel all cozy. It feels like the start of fall. And
absolutely.
Yeah. So tell me a bit about you. Tell me, all the cool stuff that I would love to know about you.
Okay. Well, now I'm America's vocal coach, which is it kind of
no pressure. No.
Right.
What a big title.
I know.
It's amazing.
And I've gotten a lot of accolades for vocal coaching, but I think the reason that I'm such a good coach is that I really love to sing, and I've done I've gigged, I've done every mistake that you can make and every great thing that you can do, I've done that. Right?
Okay.
So when I see people struggling in the studio or struggling on stage, I know exactly what's going on because I've probably done it. Mm-hmm. And that's what makes it so great. I get to share what I've learned, to everyone. And it makes me happy. I had 3 students on the Billboard charts in 2019, 2 on the dance charts and 1 on the hard rock charts. And it's so cool to see people do this. It's weird on the dance charts because I had a dance record. Mm-hmm. And
back in the
90s.
The 90s, right.
What was it called again? It was called Didn't Mean to Fall in Love.
Didn't Mean to Fall in Love, right.
Yes. And I was so proud of it. And one thing I wanted to say to new artists is that you have to be proud of your product. Mm-hmm. If you put out something and you're not sure about it, then when people, if you get criticized, then you're like, oh, I shouldn't have put it out. And then if you love it, or, you're not behind it and people love it, then you're like, did I miss something? So you really have to be behind it. And what's great is that everything I put out, I really feel like is representative of me as an artist. Mm-hmm. And I worked really, really hard,
Definitely.
I was in hard rock bands, pop bands. Then for my dance record, which was so incredible, I did a rock pop demo with an R&B producer, co-writer. And I was in San Francisco, where all the dance stuff was happening.
Cool. And
early 90s, right? Raves, a whole bunch of great stuff.
I was living up in the Bay Area.
Oh, were you?
Yeah, that's where I'm from.
Oh my God.
Yeah. So I wasn't exactly going to raves in the 90s, but I know what you're talking about.
Yeah.
Yes, exactly.
So, it was so awesome to be there at that time. And, I went to LA to meet with publishers, and one of the publishers said, you're not going to be able to compete. You can't compete with the Taylor Danes because you're not on a major label. And at that time, if you were on a major label, you were not happening, even if you're on a small label. And he said, why don't you do a house remix? So I called the R&B producer, and I said, hey, what do you think of that? And he said, okay, we'll call Raul. So we did a 12-inch. We took it to New Music Seminar. It took off. It charted. It was like, it can happen so fast. That's why you have to be ready. Mm-hmm.
Let me ask you, what did it feel like, when you first discovered, wow, it's really charting? I mean, what's the feeling like?
I think it was so surprising because I was always in bands and I loved to dance. I love to dance. And with my dance record, I had to, do the whole thing, never say never. I was one of those people who's like, I'm never going to sing to a track. Back in the day. Mm-hmm. And I ended up singing to a track and having dancers behind me, right? Yeah. But it was so fun. It was fun because it was a great time. And also I think it was just the thrill of making a difference, saying something. And at the time, the people who were doing house were like Aretha, they all had those voices. And so my biggest criticism of my record was that I wasn't Aretha. Why is that girl doing that? And now everybody does it, which is so amazing. But, when you're, a lot of women are pioneers, where if you break into a genre and you peak before it really takes off, you don't really get paid. And if you peak too late, then you're kind of over it, right? So you kind of have to be in that thing. But I kind of thought it was really great to be on the edge.
That's really cool. What an exciting experience.
Uh-huh.
And so, how did you get into coaching other people?
Well, after that happened, and, I think if I had gone to Europe, I could have probably kept the dance thing going on. But I just didn't have the wherewithal at the time and the support. Like, people have support now as indie artists in a lot of ways that you couldn't dream of then. Mm-hmm. And also as women, it's harder, Yeah. So what I did was I started studying with Raz Kennedy, who toured for years with Bobby McFerrin. And they are so precise, When I met him, I was like, I already had a hit charting, right? And I met with him, and I was just humbled. It was like, you don't know what you don't know, right? And I just couldn't believe there were all these things. He did a breathing exercise, and I'm like, blowing up, and he's like holding it. I'm like, oh my God. Like, it was like a moment, like, do you really want to do this? Because in every artist's career, if you're doing a career, you get to the point where you have to decide, are you willing to step up or not? Because I knew if I wasn't willing to do the next work, the work I didn't expect to do, at the time, like, I wanted to be Stevie Nicks, right? And I didn't want to be Aretha or any of these great singers, but I ended up studying them. And guess what? I coach some of my singers now to, like, get the rhythm in your body. Like, I'm so glad that I studied with the people that I studied with. Because singing is, first of all, it's a spiritual journey, And so every time you take a leap, it becomes something else, And you become more powerful in it, I think. And for me, I really had to step up my game, and I had to work really hard. And, for new artists, it's hard work. It just is, There's just, you have to do the work, and you also have to know what the bar is, because there is a bar. And even though people don't maybe know what it is, if you're with a great coach, they know what the bar is. They can tell you, that's not doing it. That's not going to cut it, But the difference for me is that I know how to get them over that because I've had to learn it, When I was in the studio, I did an R&B hip-hop project. I moved to LA in the late 90s when all the musicians, everybody was like, it was dying. Scenes die. So it was dying. Oh, in San Francisco, how I started to coaching was that I did an exchange with a woman who was a speaker who was losing her voice. And I have a background in speech pathology and in education. I have a master's in education. And then I woke up and knew I was supposed to be a singer. Right? I mean, I've already sung, and I played classical flute. I played some piano. I played guitar. But it was that moment that if I didn't do it, I wouldn't be able to live with myself my whole life. And that I really was an artist. I don't think you can make yourself be an artist or not be an artist. I think you either are one or you're not. Because there are people who live their whole lives and don't feel that sense of they have to create something. And that's okay. But not me. If I didn't do it, and I've had good times and bad times, but if I didn't do it, I don't think I could live with myself, So the interesting thing, too, is that when I started coaching, I did it with a career coach who she just wanted to have her voice be more resonant. Right? So I'm coaching her, and she's coaching me. And she turned around and she said, you should do this for a living. Because I'm really good at having people know where they are in their mouth, how to project the sound, and how to make your voice warm. I think that's one of the biggest things, because I'm from Western New York, and everybody talks like this. went to school in Buffalo, you know.
Yeah.
So everybody, like, I remember one of my coaches saying, say cat, right? Mm-hmm. And I went, cat. I couldn't hear that I was doing cat.
Right.
But she's like, no, cat. I'm like, I'm doing it. And the thing is the thing that she couldn't tell me, that she didn't tell me, was that where I had it placed was wrong. Mm-hmm. Because if you don't go to a coach who understands how to produce sounds and then how to use your body as an instrument, then you're not going to be able to get that. In other words, she could say, no, do this. And I did it, and it still sounded the same.
Yeah.
Yikes!
So do you have a tip for getting a more resonant sound?
Yes, I do. If you're in your chest voice.
Like most of us are when we're talking.
Right. So if you want a more resonant sound in your chest voice, what you do is, I call it, I have a universe of things that I have names for. Mm-hmm. So I have, like, if you're performing and you're using your hand, it's called the hand and your lift, right? So to get a more resonant voice, you want to move the sound forward in your chest voice. Mm-hmm. So you want it to resonate here. If you want to get more resonance, then you can't be back in your throat. And the thing about that is that in most, like when you sing in choir, you know, everything's pretty, everything's back, everything's vibrato. Mm-hmm. And also they make you sing, they're moving your head voice down rather than creating more chest voice, right? So the tip is, if you do this, it's called a creak or a cry. And if you do this, and then you sing or you speak, it's going to have a more resonant sound than this. And if you want it to be warmer, make sure that you don't go in your nose. It stays in your mouth. Mm-hmm. The other thing that will give you more resonance is don't expel. So I have rules of singing. First rule of singing is drop your jaw. Mm-hmm. Right?
Yeah.
It's called the dum-da. I'm sure you've heard of it. But it's under everything. And if you don't drop your jaw, then you can't really sing vowel to vowel, right? And the second thing is, don't expel. And I don't even remember my own rules. So if you expel when you're singing, and you have to at some point, right? Or a little bit. But if I'm doing, let's say, in my chest voice, let's say I'm doing, hi, how are you? And I'm, hi, how are you? Hear it? As versus, hi, how are you? Hear that? So if I'm singing, like maybe I'm singing, look what you made me do, right? Look. Okay, so now if I'm doing, look what you made me do.
Right, okay, right. I'm
expelling all the sound.
Yeah.
The other thing is when you lift, look, it's not look, it's look. You lift your body and you lift your chest. So one of the things that I got from all of this stuff is how to sing and use your body as an instrument. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so. That's great. And you even have this book, right? And so can I pick it up? Let's check it out. Vocal Exercises for the Pop Singer.
It's Vocal Essentials.
Oh, what did I say?
Exercises.
Oh. Well, it's written in this lovely
cursive
font that I just, my eyes glazed over. Vocal Essentials for the Pop Singer. Take your singing from good to great by Teri Danz.
Right. And that's what I'm big on. I'm really big on taking people from where they are and getting them to record quality.
So you've got your lip rolls. Those are hard to do for some people.
I know they are.
But you've got to do them.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh my gosh, this is great. Theory basics. And it's not like this giant daunting book where I'm going, like I've seen a lot of them. They're this big and you're like, how am I ever going to get through that? But this is
music
great.
Theory, like there's a lot of stuff like upbeat, downbeat that a lot of singers don't understand. They may play an instrument, but it's different when you're singing. You have to have it in your body. If you don't have it in your body, then you are always guessing. I hate to guess. So I make my students know the placement, which is what makes me kind of a pop vocal expert, right? Because the thing about it is I'm really meticulous. And, I tell people that they're not doing it. Like, I'm not afraid to tell people, no, that's not it. That's not it.
As in that performance doesn't rivet me, or what do you mean by when you say
No,
that's not it?
They're not hitting the note.
Oh, okay.
They're not lifting on it. They're not communicating their heart. They're not present. I've done a lot of like vocal workshops. Like I did one for Neumann.
Okay.
At ASCAP a few years.
Cool.
For Sennheiser.
Sweet.
Sennheiser and Neumann. And, people leave the planet when they sing.
Yeah.
Right? And so what you're watching is a vacant person creating sound. You're not seeing an artist with a point of view. So you have to come in to it with, this is what I'm about. This is what I'm saying. And then you can take it the way you want, right?
Yeah.
But attitude is everything. And mouth sound is everything. One of my students, who's also an actor, she did this competition, right? And the first thing that they wanted was tone. And tone is everything. And it says a lot. So, a lot of the things that I learned with different recording projects and with different people, like I worked with Jerry the Gov Brown, who recorded Alicia Keys' first record as an artist. And, having the breath go across your palate, like, look, so you have the tone, but you control the tone. It's not like, look. It's look.
Yeah, totally.
Right? So it's in your mouth. So I'm really big on, the other thing I'm really big on is feeling it in your mouth, like tasting it. I love that kind of thing and also what I love to do is be in front of people and know that I know that I'm going to be doing something and they don't know what it is, right? But it's fun. So, if you're and you have to be professional. That's the one thing. Even if you're starting out, to show up on time. Yeah. You have to be willing to do the work. Like a lot of people don't want to do the work. And I get it because you can take so many shortcuts now.
Yeah. Well, listen, you touched on something that I was really intrigued. And some coaches, they're only teaching technique, right? This is how you create sound using your instrument. But you said that it doesn't make a difference if you don't, if you're not the artist coming to the table with something to say. So are you actually helping people sort of discover their voice? Yeah. Because I've noticed a lot of people are like, I wouldn't even know where to start. I wouldn't know what to talk about. How can I possibly be that vulnerable to talk about and write about the things that really matter to me? Or, how do you help people sort of come out of their shell? Because I think that's scary for a lot of people.
Yeah, you're right. Well, if they write their own stuff, they're more tied to it,
Sure.
But it's more like, if let's just take that same example. You could say, look what you made me do. 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 Right? You could do it so many different ways. Right? So what I ask people to do is, if you were really saying it to somebody, how would you say it? Right? Or if you were in this situation, like I have people imagine that they're in the rain, or they're talking to a lover, or they're, it's an occasion, it's a birthday, or it's something, and how would they say it if that's what they were doing? Yeah. Because you can do a performance from many perspectives.
So you'll give them something like a sentence like, look what you made me do. Something that could be, performed in so many different ways. And then you have them sort of go through all these different ways of performing it, or imagine where you are in this moment saying it. And that sort of lends its voice to whatever the attitude's going to be for the rest of the song, maybe.
Yeah. And, I have people say, like, what feels right to you? Right? And then when you go to the next line, well, what would you emphasize here? Like, how would you feel if you were here? And what would you emphasize if you were here, right? Because it really is about saying what you mean. And that's why, people love Adele, because she says what she means, even though she's singing. And she's got a great voice, but she's still talking to someone.
Right.
So, the key in doing pop stuff, which is different than like classical, is that you really have to say something, not only from your heart that's true to you, but you have to speak it to someone. Right? So,
like that.
Yeah.
I don't think anyone's ever said that to me before.
Oh, really?
Yeah. Like, act like, as if it was to someone. That's a really cool observation, notion. That's really
thank
cool.
You.
Yeah.
I'm in the studio with a lot of producers. I work with a lot of different people. One is Ted Curry, and he had a #1 Billboard chart hit. He works with a lot of artists, and he had never heard that either. And it's like, that's one of the reasons you need a vocal coach in your recording session too. Michael Jackson had one. And it's because a producer can help you with the overall. They can tell you when you're not in it and when you're not on, but they can't tell you how to get what you're going for. That's a kind of like, it's a vocal producer.
Especially when you're in the moment,
right?
And you're on the spot, and you may be kind of losing yourself in the music. You forget how you're actually performing that particular vocal,
right. And if you're not saying it to someone, if you're not saying it like you mean it, then it doesn't come off as authentic. And the biggest thing about being authentic is being able to resonate with people. I mean, that's really So, and it needs to come. It needs to be real. So it's not like if I said, look what you made me do, and I didn't feel that way. I can still do it. It's an acting thing, right? But, if I was in pain, maybe, look what you made me do. And if I wasn't, maybe it would be like, like a whole other performance. So, I think that's one of the ways that I really help people. Because I've had to do it myself, and I didn't get any coaching on it. I mean, I did eventually, but I can't tell you how many times I performed. I didn't know what I was doing, really.
Yeah.
And I watch people all the time, and it's like, no, don't even think to do this. It doesn't work. But they can't see that. And if you don't have someone to guide you, then it's really hard. It's really hard. And a lot of times when I'm in the studio with people, they would never get the product, because I worked with so many great people who really called me on stuff and made me do it, and like didn't let it go. Like they were like, no, that doesn't work, So I think that in a vocal coach, you really need somebody who can tell you the truth.
Yeah.
If they don't tell you, not mean, but like, here's the truth and here's how you get to what works. What works for you might be different than what works for somebody else.
Yeah.
But there is a truth, and it's like, you can't in pop, for example, swooping into notes.
Yeah.
You could call it a stylistic thing, but it's really lazy.
Yeah.
And I don't let people do that. I said, if you want to do that as an artist, go ahead. I can't stop you, and I don't want to. I want you to, but I want you the toolbox of being able to hit it dead on.
Yeah.
So, I really give people a toolbox.
Yeah.
So they can do it on their own. And even so, I would say having someone in the studio with you.
Do you go into the studio here and there with your artists as well?
All the time.
Oh, really? That's really cool. And like, okay, if I was going to say, what is the fastest warm up? Like, let's just say you are on the side of a stage and a big band's performing, and they're like, get up here, come sing, and you literally have like 2 minutes to warm up. What do you do if you were in a hurry?
I would do lip rolls all the way through your range, like 2 octaves.
I agree.
And I would also do maybe some, ma. I would do that, but I would do them 2 octaves, and then I would do something where you have to open up and hold it. like maybe an E to an E, you know, you're going up.
Yeah.
That'll warm you up. The other thing, another tip is to drink tea. If you had to go on stage and I always have tea with me.
Why does tea help?
Because I think that, I'm a big believer in dark tea, like Lipton tea, you know, because it has tannin in it. Okay, and you could also do slippery elm, like throat coat, right?
Ugh, I hate the taste of it.
I know, me too.
It's so gross.
But plain old Lipton tea.
Yeah.
I think what it does is it relaxes something, and because it really makes a difference. I always take it in the studio. I take it for my students. You know, I wouldn't sing without it. I used to take it to clubs. And that's the other thing, is you have to take everything with you when you perform and when you're in the studio. Don't assume that they're going to have everything, because they don't. I mean, if they do, it's like...
Yeah, it's nice. But it's... I've been to enough studios to know that sometimes you're offered a really cold bottle of water. Yeah. And that's totally not what I need at the moment.
No.
Well, sorry?
No, go ahead.
You were saying something?
No, I was just going to say that, you know, I help people with performances too. You know, when they're doing showcases.
Getting ready for it.
Yeah, and also because I've done choreography, like I've done it myself. So the other thing, you know, when you do it yourself, it's like you actually appreciate how much people really work to do it.
Totally. Yeah.
You know, you have respect for singers.
And there's a whole nother world in performing. How do you hold the mic when you're belting? How far do you pull it away from yourself? Which side do you move? Stage right, stage left. I mean, there's so much to learn from a coach who can show you. Right. And I wanted to ask you about this the vocal exercise CD.
Yay! Tell me about your new best friend.
My new best friend?
It's basically they're basically vowels. They're basically vowels, and what I wanted to do is give people, there's an intro on there, and then demonstrate how to do it right, like how to hit it on the pitch, how to do like an O shape. Yeah, you know, because it's all about vowel shapes. So if you're singing and you're not doing an O, you know, because I have a lot of people who
lazy O,
it doesn't sound good.
Nope.
And if you're singing high and you're not doing the shape, like a lot of it comes from like dropping and you know, like doing a narrow thing. So these are like my favorite ones, and they're also ones that I really feel that you need to do to warm up. Some of them are more, you don't need to do all of them all the time, but vocal exercises, you know, when I wasn't performing, is the thing that held me together. Yeah. Doing vocal exercises every day.
That's good. I mean, I sing every single day too, so I'm definitely going through my scales on a daily basis, and I just think this girl is so cute, whoever this is.
It's just a, you know.
Yeah. It's just a really cute, it's a good presentation. I really like it.
Thank you.
So that's good that you have something to like give to your clients to do. And then I also wanted to show, I wanted to show this, which I thought was really cool. Woo!
That's
Women
Cyndi Lauper.
Who Rock, with Cyndi Lauper on the cover. And then, guess who we have in the center? That's Teri right there. And they're talking about, oh my gosh, indie artists who've received big thumbs up. And, you know, your band, Gardens in the Concrete, or was that the album?
That's the album.
That's the album name. And your story, I mean, this is really cool. How fun. Like, what a cool thing. Do you gotta frame that? Do you have it framed somewhere?
I don't, but I should.
Yeah.
I mean, it's pretty cool. We did 2 Tower Records in stores when Tower Records was big. You know, and there were so many things then that were like signposts that people don't have really now. You know, it's like if you played here, like we did a residency at the Viper Room when the Viper Room was really cool. Yeah. Right? And so, you know, it's creating that. It's not the same as being on Spotify. Yeah. You know, it really isn't.
Absolutely. Yeah, there's a buzz that goes around town that's bigger than, you know, your Spotify.
Yeah, and also you get to see what works. You know, so I really encourage people to get out there and take opportunities and
perform live.
And sing everywhere until you get to the point where you need to be paid. And like, I'm really big on, don't do a big festival for free more than once. You know, like, I have a lot of people who are like, oh, it's such a great opportunity. Maybe they'll ask me back. No, they need to pay you. You know, it's a lot of work. It's a lot of money.
Yeah, considering that you are probably paying for the band to be there and the band to rehearse and all the materials, all the costumes, all the things that you would need.
Choreography.
Is coming out of your pocket. So I agree. Getting paid for a big production it's got to be key. Yeah. Well, thank you so much. I mean, I really appreciate all these little nuggets of wisdom you're giving us.
Yay!
And, gosh, I mean, it would be really cool. Do you have any videos online of you actually coaching people? Or
I have a video of me giving tips.
That's great.
Yeah. And I've got another one that I'm going to release. And then I've just got a lot of stuff going on.
Yeah. And can we find you on your website? Is that where you would direct us to go?
I think my website, and I'm also, of course, on Facebook and, Instagram and all that. But I think that, a lot of, because I was named one of the top vocal coaches by Backstage magazine, a lot of it, I just get people who've heard about me. So I love that because, it's great to have people who, I have a lot of people who've done stuff. And I'm so proud of them because I take them from, zero to, isn't that great?
Yeah, that's amazing. I mean, it's...
And they get the benefit of my experience that I didn't get. Like, the things that I wanted when I was coming up, they get the benefit of that.
Yeah.
Yay.
Yeah, that's good. And so you love what you do. Yeah. Well, again, thank you so much for
You're
being
welcome.
on the show. It was really nice to meet you and, get to hear some information from somebody who has so much experience and a really cool perspective on how to use your voice and everything. I really love that. So thank you again. Yeah.
Thank you.
Well, all right, everybody. We're gonna drop Teri's links below so you can look her up, follow her. And thanks again for staying tuned, and stay tuned for the next one. See you next time on The Right Track.